Most men go through life thinking they just need to be nice, be patient, and be understanding to win her over. But they don't realize that's the exact trap that's been silently killing their confidence. Because being nice without power, boundaries, or self-respect is not kindness, it's submission, and women can feel it. The truth is, no one ever teaches us this. No one sits us down and says, here are the real emotional dynamics going on between men and women. So we grow up guessing, making mistakes, getting ghosted, losing women we cared about, without knowing why. But this video is different. What you're about to hear are 10 of the most common, most misunderstood weaknesses that push women away emotionally, even when you think you're doing everything right. These aren't surface-level tips. These are deep psychological patterns. Things she'll never say out loud, but will respond to on a primal level the moment you shift. You'll learn how to stop leaking insecurity, how to reclaim your masculine edge, and how to create the kind of presence that commands respect without saying a single word. Watch this till the end, and I'll show you how one simple shift in the way you carry yourself can make her see you in a completely different light, even if she's already pulling away. Let's get into the first weakness, and trust me, once you see it, you won't look at women, or yourself, the same way again. Weakness 1, over-explaining yourself. You text her. She takes a little too long to reply. So what do? You send another message clarifying your first one, maybe adding, I didn't mean it like that, or, just to be clear, I wasn't trying to upset you. Sounds harmless, right? But here's what most men don't realize. Over-explaining is rooted in fear. Fear of being misunderstood, fear of rejection, fear of not being seen as good enough. And when you do it, you're subtly communicating one thing. You're not in control of your own reality. It tells her you care more about her perception of you than your own sense of groundedness. Women don't consciously process this, but emotionally it's like an alarm. It signals that your identity is fragile, that her reaction controls your self-worth. And the moment a man starts chasing approval like that, her respect begins to erode. Because deep down, she's not just looking for someone who understands her. She's looking for someone anchored, someone whose emotions don't sway just because hers do. So what should you do instead? Stop chasing clarity. Let your words land. Say what you mean once, then trust yourself enough to leave it at that. Let the silence do the heavy lifting. When a man speaks and doesn't scramble to clarify, she feels it. It says, I said what I said. I know who I am. That energy, it's magnetic, but here's the kicker. The urge to over-explain is just the surface. What it really reveals is a deeper insecurity most men carry, but try to hide with logic and politeness. Let's talk about that next. Because weakness number 2 is something 90% of guys carry into every interaction with a woman, and it silently kills the attraction before it even starts. Weakness 2, seeking emotional validation from her. Picture this. You've had a rough day. You're drained, frustrated. You text her, hoping she'll say something sweet, something comforting, maybe just a little attention. But instead, she gives you cold replies, one-word answers, no effort, and now not only are you still exhausted, you're also hurt, confused, angry, so you double down. You try to open up more. Maybe you even say, I just needed to hear something nice today. Seems honest, right? But here's what she'll never admit. The moment a man makes her responsible for his emotional state, her feminine energy shuts down. Not because she doesn't care, but because that dynamic feels off. Why? Because she's not looking to mother you emotionally. She's looking to feel safe around you. And when you start leaning on her for emotional stability, you unknowingly shift the polarity. You go from being the calm center to being the one needing reassurance. And here's the hard truth. The masculine doesn't crave emotional comfort. It craves emotional clarity. Most men were never taught this. They confuse vulnerability with emotional neediness. They think expressing every feeling will create connection, but it actually creates pressure, and pressure crushes attraction. So what's the move? Learn to hold your emotions without needing her to fix them. Feel what you feel, but process it from a place of ownership. When you can say, yeah, today was tough, but I'm handling it, without expecting a gold star, she feels something shift. She sees strength, stillness, presence, and that ignites something deeper in her than any sweet talk ever could. But here's where it gets even more subtle. There's another weakness, one that hides behind charm, humor, even compliments, and it's killing your edge before the conversation even begins. Let's get into weakness number 3, because this one destroys your perceived value instantly. Weakness 3, performing for her approval. Let me paint the picture. You're texting her and trying to keep the vibe alive. So you're cracking jokes, being witty, maybe throwing in a few compliments to make her smile. She laughs, responds. Then slowly, the energy fades. She takes longer to reply. The conversations feel dry. And eventually, silence. You sit there wondering, what changed? I was making her laugh. I was being fun. Wasn't that what she wanted? But here's what most men don't realize. Every time you perform to win her over, whether through humor, charm, or fake confidence, she feels it. Not consciously, but energetically. She senses the strain, the need, the fact that underneath the cool surface, you're waiting for a reaction. And here's the cold truth. When you seek a reaction, you give away your power, because it tells her you don't believe you're enough as you are, that you're only valuable if she responds, if she laughs, if she approves. And that's when it flips. The man she was intrigued by now feels like he's auditioning, and the moment you feel like you're trying to earn her attention, the game is already over. Real attraction isn't earned through effort. It's built through presence. It's not about what you say, it's about how centered you are when you say it. It's the difference between throwing out a joke and needing her to laugh, versus making a comment because you think it's funny, whether she gets it or not. When a man stops performing, stops reacting, and just is, confident in his own vibe, she feels it, and it flips the script. She starts performing for you. So here's the subtle shift. Stop trying to win her over. Instead, notice whether she's earning a place in your world. But this leads right into the next weakness, because even when men stop performing, they fall into another trap. It's subtle, it's emotional, and it makes women feel like they're parenting a grown man instead of partnering with him. Let's break down weakness number 4, and trust me, this one kills attraction faster than you think. Weakness 4, passive communication and avoiding conflict. You know that moment when something she says bothers you? Maybe she made a little sarcastic remark that cut deeper than you'd admit. Maybe she canceled plans last minute. Again. Maybe she's texting another guy a little too often and calling him just a friend. But instead of calling it out directly, you swallow it. You tell yourself, it's not a big deal. I don't want to seem insecure. I'll just let it slide. You play it cool, pretend everything's fine. You wait, hoping the situation will just fix itself. But here's what most men don't realize. Avoiding conflict doesn't make you look calm, it makes you look weak. Because when you don't speak up, when you don't address what's real, you're silently training her to believe you don't value yourself enough to draw a line. And here's what she'll never say out loud. She wants a man who can call things out, with calmness, not chaos. She wants to feel that you're not afraid to lose her if something crosses your boundary, because that tells her one powerful thing. You respect yourself more than you crave her approval. But when you avoid confrontation to keep the peace, what you're really doing is giving away the throne. You're putting her on the pedestal. You're letting her shape the dynamic. And slowly, your identity gets swallowed by passivity. And what happens next? She loses trust. Not just in you, but in the relationship. Because if you can't lead emotionally, if you can't hold the tension of a hard conversation, how will you handle the pressure of real life? Here's the shift. When something bothers you, say it, not with anger, not with drama, just truth. Say it like a man who isn't afraid of silence, like a man who isn't afraid of her reaction, like a man who knows what he stands for. Because passive men don't attract powerful women. They attract tests, and every test you fail in silence, she remembers. But this leads directly to weakness number 5, because some men do speak up, but they do it in the worst possible way. Let me show you how this one turns strength into insecurity without you even realizing it. Weakness 5, getting emotional when setting boundaries. All right, so let's say you finally had enough. You speak up, you set a boundary. Maybe you tell her, "I'm not okay with you texting your ex," or "If we're going to be serious, I need consistency." It feels good at first, but then she pushes back. Maybe she challenges you, gets defensive. Maybe she cries. Maybe she gives you the silent treatment. And now you start spiraling. You start raising your voice, over-explaining, apologizing for how you made her feel. Suddenly, the strong stance you took at the beginning, it's gone, replaced by emotional chaos. Here's what most men don't realize. Setting boundaries doesn't mean throwing a tantrum. Real boundaries don't come from anger. They come from clarity. And when you let your emotions hijack the moment, you're not setting a boundary. You're trying to control her reaction. That's not power. That's panic dressed up as masculinity. And women feel the difference. When you get emotional while setting boundaries, it tells her you're not grounded, that your strength is fragile, that if she pushes hard enough, you'll crack. But here's what changes everything. When a man can say, "This doesn't work for me," and stay calm, no guilt, no rage, no drama, it changes the entire dynamic. Because now she's not dealing with a boy trying to be heard. She's facing a man who doesn't need permission to walk away. And that shakes her soul. Because it tells her you're not afraid of loss. You're not addicted to her attention. You value your standards more than her approval. So next time you set a boundary, remember, the strength isn't in what you say, it's in how calm you stay after you say it. But let me take this even deeper. Because there's another weakness hiding under the surface. One that seems small but has massive consequences on how she views you as a man. It's subtle, almost invisible. And it's the reason she starts saying, "I just need space," even when things seem to be going well. Let's talk about weakness number 6, because this one quietly poisons connection from the inside out. Weakness 6, being too emotionally available. Too soon, you meet a girl. The chemistry is real. The conversations flow. She opens up, and so do you. Before you know it, you're texting her every morning, calling her at night, sharing childhood memories, fears, goals, secrets, everything. You want her to know the real you. It feels deep, intimate, maybe even meant to be. But then something shifts. Suddenly she's not replying as fast. She's busy. The emotional closeness you thought would bring her closer is now making her drift away. And you're left wondering, what just happened? Here's what most men don't realize. When you give her all of you emotionally too soon, you kill the mystery. You remove the tension, the unknown, the magnetic curiosity that makes a woman crave more of you. And what's worse, you send a signal that you're too eager to connect, like you've been waiting for anyone to listen, to care, to complete you. That's not romance, that's emotional dependency disguised as openness. You might think you're building intimacy, but what you're really doing is over-investing before she's earned it. And women feel that imbalance. It's not about playing games, it's about respecting your emotional energy. You don't give your deepest thoughts and stories to someone you just met. You let her earn them, slowly, through time, consistency, and mutual effort. Because when a man reveals everything too fast, he's not bonding, he's bleeding. So what should you do? Hold some of yourself back. Not out of fear, but out of value. Let her wonder what you're thinking. Let her work to unlock deeper layers of you. Make her earn your emotional world, just like you're earning hers. Because the man who gives everything too soon becomes predictable, and predictability kills desire. But the man who reveals himself piece by piece, that's the man she can't stop thinking about. Now here's where it gets dangerous. Because once you've been too emotionally available, there's another trap waiting right after. And it's the one that makes men beg, chase, and lose themselves trying to fix something that's already broken. Let's go into weakness number 7, And this one will hit hard if you've ever been left on red, ghosted, or friend-zoned after opening up. Weakness 7. Chasing closure when she pulls away. She stops texting. Her tone changes. The warm energy you once felt, gone. And now you're in your head. You scroll through old messages, looking for clues. You replay conversations, wondering where it went wrong. You ask her if she's okay, if you did something, if you can talk. She says she's just been busy, but deep down, you feel the shift. So what do? You try harder. You check in. You stay available. You wait, because all you want is one thing: closure. But here's what most men don't realize. Chasing closure is the last act of emotional desperation. It's you trying to reopen a door she's already closed, not because you need answers, but because you're terrified to face the truth. She's no longer choosing you. And let's be honest, most of the time, you already know the answer. You just don't want to accept it. But the moment you start chasing after clarity, comfort, or just one more talk, you lose your frame. You give her all the power, and in her eyes you go from man to memory, someone who once had presence now reduced to need. Here's the truth she'll never say out loud. She already decided, whether it was emotional disinterest, someone else, or just a loss of spark, she made her move. And if she wanted to explain it, she would have. Silence is the closure. And when you accept that, when you stop begging for understanding and start walking away with dignity, that's when your power returns. Because real men don't chase after people who've already chosen to leave. They notice the shift, they feel the disrespect, and they exit. Not to prove a point, not to punish her, but because their self-worth isn't up for negotiation. So what should you do? Simple. When the energy changes, match it. Don't ask, don't argue, don't chase. Just pull back and let her feel the silence you used to fill. That silence, it'll speak louder than anything you could ever say. But here's where it flips. Because once you stop chasing closure, another test shows up. One that men constantly fail, especially after rejection. One that makes you look desperate even when you're trying to seem strong. Let's break down weakness number 8. And if you've ever tried to win her back, this one's going to sting. Weakness 8. Trying to win her back by proving your worth. She's pulled away, maybe even said it directly. I think we should take a break, or it's not you, it's me. And what do most men do? They go into overdrive, they hit the gym, post better pictures, start sending thoughtful messages, try to look more successful, more confident, more desirable, all in hopes she'll look back and say, damn, maybe I made a mistake. You start trying to prove something, that you're better now, that you've changed, that you're finally the man she wanted you to be. But here's what most men don't realize. The moment you try to prove your worth to her, you've already admitted you didn't believe in it yourself. Because true worth isn't something you demonstrate to someone else. It's something you own, quietly, unapologetically. Women are intuitive. They can feel when your moves are rooted in confidence and when they're coming from pain. So even if you look better, speak better, walk with more swagger, if your motive is still her approval, she'll feel it, and it'll push her away even faster. Because no woman is drawn to a man who's trying to earn back her affection. That energy is heavy, pressuring. It screams, please validate me. So what should you do? Stop playing the redemption game. Let her go. Not as a tactic, not to trigger a reaction, but because you're done explaining your worth to someone who didn't see it the first time. The man who walks away without a show, without revenge, without desperation, that man becomes unforgettable. Not because he chased, but because he didn't. And here's what she'll never admit. When you stop trying to impress her and start living in a way that impresses yourself, that's when the energy flips. That's when you stop being the one that chased and become the one that got away. But let's go even deeper, because even if you've done everything right, stayed calm, stayed grounded, there's another hidden weakness that slips through in your vibe, and it makes her feel like she's the prize, while you're just lucky to be there. Let's break down weakness number 9. Because if you don't catch this one, you'll always feel one step behind in every relationship. Weakness 9, putting her on a pedestal without realizing it. You like her a lot. Maybe she's stunning, smart, well-spoken. She walks into a room and all eyes go to her, and you can't believe you got her attention. So you treat her well. You listen, compliment her, make her feel special. And deep down, you're thinking, she's different. She's not like the others. But here's what most men don't realize. The moment you start acting like she's above you, like she's this rare, untouchable goddess who's doing you a favor by being in your life, you've already lost the power dynamic. You've made her the sun, and yourself just a planet revolving around her. And guess what? She feels it. She feels when you're adjusting your tone just to please her, when you're afraid to disagree, when you're more focused on not losing her than on asking yourself if she's really right for you. This kind of silent worship might seem flattering, but emotionally it repels her. Because deep down, women don't want a fan. They want a man. Someone they can look up to, not someone who's looking up at them. Here's the hard truth. When you see her as too good for you, she eventually sees you as not good enough for her. So what should you do? Shift the frame. Remind yourself that attraction is a two-way street, that no matter how amazing she seems, you're the prize too. Your time, your presence, your peace, your energy, they're all valuable, and she has to qualify for you, not just the other way around. Because the moment you stop trying to impress her and start evaluating whether she's truly aligned with your life, your whole energy changes. You stop chasing, you stop overthinking, you stop tolerating weak behavior just because she's hot. And you become the man she doesn't want to lose. But here's the final piece. You can stop pedestalizing her, hold your boundaries, say all the right things. But if you make this next mistake, you'll still feel powerless. Because weakness number 10 is the most dangerous of them all, and it silently kills your masculinity from the inside out. Weakness 10, making her the center of your life. You meet someone, you connect, you vibe, and suddenly, without even realizing it, everything starts to revolve around her. You adjust your schedule to match hers. You stop spending time with the boys, you stop grinding as hard, you stop doing the things that made you feel powerful, focused, alive. Now your emotions swing based on her texts. Your plans depend on her availability. Your energy? Drained, because she's not just in your life. She's become your life. And here's what most men don't realize. The moment a woman becomes your purpose, she loses attraction. Not because she doesn't want to be loved, but because deep down she doesn't want to be your mission. She wants to witness your mission, to feel the gravity of your focus, your drive, your passion for something bigger than her. Because here's what she'll never tell you. When a man has no deeper purpose, she feels the pressure of becoming everything to him. And that pressure is suffocating. Women are drawn to men who are in motion, who are building, creating, pursuing something real. Something that would exist even if she didn't. That's the energy of grounded masculinity. That's the energy that makes her feel safe, desired, drawn in. But when you abandon your mission, your discipline, your center, for her, she starts to feel like your lifeline. And the weight of that, it crushes attraction fast. So what should you do? Reclaim your mission. Get back to your path, not to impress her, not to make her jealous, but because your life has to be yours. When you become the man who moves with purpose, who's fully present when he's with her, but never stops moving for her, she feels it. That's when she starts chasing you. That's when you stop being the guy trying to hold on and become the man she never wants to lose. Because the truth is, your life isn't meant to orbit around anyone. It's meant to shine with or without them. And now that we've uncovered these 10 hidden weaknesses, here's what it all really means. Wrap up an identity shift. Everything we just talked about, every weakness, every hidden pattern, it all points to one truth. Most men were never taught how to own themselves. They were taught to seek approval, to be agreeable, to avoid conflict, to be nice, to overgive. to win her heart by losing themselves. And yet, every time they did those things, they fell further away from their core. Because attraction isn't built on being pleasing, it's built on being centered. A woman isn't drawn to the man who needs her. She's drawn to the man who knows who he is without her. The man who speaks with clarity, who walks with quiet power, who doesn't need to chase or explain or perform, because his life is already full, his energy already grounded, his value already decided. Here's the reality most men never wake up to. She doesn't fall for your words, she falls for your energy, your state, your presence, your inner world. And when you master that, when you cut out the weaknesses, when you let go of the need to be understood, to be liked, to be approved of, you stop attracting drama and start commanding respect. Not with force, but with stillness. So ask yourself this: are you the man who reacts or the man who leads? Are you building your life around her? Or are you building a life so powerful she wants to be part of your world? The moment you stop being afraid of losing people is the moment you start becoming someone they don't want to lose. And remember this: the strongest man doesn't need to prove anything. He doesn't need to shout. He doesn't need to beg. He just is. So if this spoke to something in you, if it woke something up, don't let it fade when this video ends. Take it with you. Look at your life, your relationships, your habits, and ask yourself, where am I giving away power without even realizing it? Then cut it, reclaim it, own it, because the moment you do, you don't just become more attractive to women, you become unstoppable. If this hit you in the chest, not just the mind, subscribe, turn on notifications, and check out the next video. We're going even deeper into the mindset, discipline, and silent strength that turns men into legends. Your journey's just beginning. Let's go.